you're missing out on piles of cash. You're just missing out on so much easy money. And I don't mean that in like a shallow way. I've been teaching like 20 hours of private lessons a week and transitioned out of that and showed up once a week to teach one live class and was making way more money. If you don't believe in your business and if you don't believe in your solution, who's going to? Anyone that's further ahead than you, they don't have a magic key. They just never stopped. They just never stopped, and they did more of what worked. Ads are getting me like 20 to 30 new customers a day. Like 60% of the people added the order bump, and then like 25% of people added at least one upsell.
Whoa, Ashlee! What? Hello, and welcome to the Art of Selling Online Courses. We're here to share winning strategies and secret hacks from top performers in the online course industry. My name's John Ainsworth. Today's guest is Ashlee Young. Now, Ashlee is a pianist, a content and course creator who started her own online business in 2021 after teaching private piano lessons and college courses for her whole adult life. And she really believes in working smarter, not harder. She's getting over 100,000 views a month on YouTube. She's hit over $70,000 a month in revenue and is on track to do over $1 million in 2026. And today we're going to be talking about what's working for her, how she's scaling with ads, the high ticket program that she's selling, and more. Ashlee, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So talk us through a little bit, who are you helping and what are you helping them with?
Sure. So I help adult piano players who are what I call serious hobby players. So they're not beginners. They've either had lessons as kids and they're coming back to it later in life, or they're retired and they are, really, really into the idea of learning how to play the piano. And I help teach them how to practice smarter, not harder, so that they can reach that higher level of like musical expression that they all so deeply desire. But a lot of them don't realize that they're practicing incorrectly. And so that's where I focus.
Are they mostly retired?
Mostly retired. Yeah. My audience is like 65 plus mostly.
A lot of our clients and nearly everybody in the music space, all of their clients are like at that retiree kind of age. And it's fascinating. So we had Jack on a little while ago who teaches banjo, and everybody he's teaching is retired. And then we had Nate, who
Yes.
and I think everybody he's teaching is retired. And it's just like, it goes on and on and on. I had a friend who was teaching blues guitar mastery, Tom. And he said, when you looked at his testimonials page, because he would always have a photo and then the testimonial, it's just like every single person looked the same, because he's teaching blues guitar in America. So everyone had grey hair in a ponytail, receding, with a goatee beard.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, so you're teaching them how to practice the right way. And is that a piano specific thing, or is it like a music thing that you're kind of, is it broader?
It is a little broader. My vehicle is piano, but I really try to explain things from like how your brain actually processes music. And my audience is mostly classical players at this point. I do have a few jazz players and a few people that are doing things like trying to learn how to play chords, but it's mostly classical. And there's just a lot that goes into it. A lot about the learning process, about creating good habits, about setting a goal, and then knowing how to like create these little bite-sized steps that will get you to that goal. And so there's definitely a broader application. And my clients always say like, what you've taught me actually has helped me become more organized at work or with my grandkids or outside of piano. But it is, it is all piano at this point.
Do you know Christopher Sutton from Musical You? I feel like you guys should probably be in touch and talk. So he teaches musicality.
Okay.
He teaches people how to be able to play in a way that is like playing by ear, being able to learn more easily. He's had people on who are like experts in brain development and like the way that the brain learns things. So not just around music, but then how do you apply those learnings from the scientific research in the music space? And I feel like there just seems to be some crossovers. I did a podcast episode with him a long time ago. Let me find the
cool.
podcast episode number.
Yeah,
but he's a good friend of mine, lives quite close in London, and is very, very smart.
Okay.
Great with funnels, great with the marketing as well. It's episode 14. Oh my God,
14.
Very early on. Yeah. I think we're on like 200 or something now. Yeah. But yeah, check that out. And then if you want me to connect you, then I'll hook you guys up.
I'd love that. Thanks.
Okay. So that's what you've been teaching. Is that what you were teaching when you were doing lessons in person?
Yes and no. I mean, I've
Okay.
always when you're teaching in person and, my background is largely in private one-on-one lessons, the scope of the work is very comprehensive. It's like we're going to do basically anything that it takes to get you to the point that you can play a piece or a few pieces, musically, correctly, all of that kind of stuff. And so I would say that my philosophy on how to get there has always been the same. But in taking that philosophy and actually having to distill it down to like frameworks for courses, there's been a lot of refinement and a lot of simplification that's happened in order to streamline it so that I could teach it in a way that was asynchronous and essentially not hand-holding, because in private lessons, it's easy to really hand-hold someone because you're seeing them every week versus here's a course, go have success with it on your own.
Hmm. One of the things that I found when we made our own course for teaching our systems around email marketing and funnels, it forced us to get clearer on exactly what to do in what situation so that we could explain it, which then made us better at actually building the funnels. And I was fascinated. I wasn't
Exactly.
expecting that part at all, because you can get away with kind of some of the chaos in your own head because you can do
Yes.
it.
Hmm.
But when you absolutely have to boil it down so that someone else can understand it when you're not even necessarily there to answer their questions, then it meant you had to be so super absolutely clear that then you're clear in your own head and then you can do the thing better. And I'm actually doing the same process again now. Like, I think that was a few years ago we made that course. And so now I'm writing a book and I'm like, oh, I have to be even clearer in the
Yes.
book than I can be in the course. And it's like, oh, okay. And as I'm going through and writing it all up, I'm like, oh my God, this is but what about in this? Would you do it always like that? Or is it sometimes like this and sometimes like, oh God, and I have to go back to the team and check with them exactly how you're doing it. How's it going to work here? And to try and, it's a fascinating experiment in like, how do you become clear on something? So it's really interesting hearing you say that you'd experienced that when you'd, made the courses yourself.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I feel like I'm still experiencing it, right? Like every time I go to create a new course, I am trying to refine like what is the simplest possible way that I could teach this. And there's this quote that I love who I originally heard it from Maria Went, who's a big person in like the online course. She does
Yeah.
low
Yeah.
ticket. Yeah. And she was saying there's like a quote that has more to do with graphic design. But the quote is something to the effect of, that it's a really good design, not when nothing more can be added, but when nothing more can be taken away.
Mm.
And her whole point is like make it as simple as possible. Say it in as few words as possible. And I've really found that to be effective with my online courses, not in the sense that I want to be stingy or don't want to provide information, but in the way that I want to give the students the win that they asked for. And how can I give them that win that they asked for? How can I solve the problem they're trying to solve without further confusing them by including information that they don't necessarily need to solve that problem?
Mm. So what's worked for you with taking that kind of a concept and then building up YouTube? Or YouTube's your main traffic source, right?
Yeah.
Or is it ads now? I don't
Well,
know
it's
which
kind
one.
of shifting to ads, like, as we are speaking this last month, but yes, it
Okay.
has historically been YouTube from the past of my business.
So are you doing like a once a week long form
Mhm.
video on YouTube? Okay, cool. What kind of videos are you making that are working for you there?
Yeah, so a lot of the videos that do really well are the videos that promise the type of result that will get people a quick win in a short amount of time.
Okay.
And so that's kind of like my main tutorial format, and I have a couple of other formats that I experiment with that don't get as many views, but I do them because my subscribers love them. But that is my main bread and butter that brings in the new people and that keeps the current subscribers happy and that really delivers like a big bang for their buck.
Nice. And is that search based or discovery based videos mostly?
A little bit of both, but a lot of
Okay.
search based.
A lot of search based.
Mhm.
Interesting. Search based views are like seem to be worth so much more than discovery based because the people have got intent already before they
Yes.
get there, and then they're more likely to like follow through and watch them. And I've not got many search based videos on my YouTube channel, but the ones I do, like, they're still going just years later.
Yes.
People are coming and finding it and watching. I'm like, that video is terrible. I
I
made that 8 years ago. What are you watching that for? And
I
I'm like,
know.
but it still gets views all the time because it
Yep.
appears higher up in the search
I
rankings.
have one video that's like I think it's driven. I don't even know how many subscribers at this point it's brought me, but it consistently is like my highest performing videos, and it's like 3 years old. I'm like, what is going on? I
Mm.
keep, remaking it slightly different, and those ones do well too. But that one original one is the one.
Do you know Jack Hopkins?
Yes. Well, I
Yeah.
don't know him. I know of him. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. So he's been on the podcast a few times, and he was telling me how he's one of his videos is about half of the traffic he's ever got. And he's like, for calculating from a financial point of view, he's like, his business would be like a half or 2/3 the size if he
Wow.
hadn't had that one video.
Yeah.
And he's trying to recreate it, and it's like, you
Yes.
can never quite create, it's the magic again of that one particular video. Fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So you've been trying out more stuff with ads.
Hmm.
Now, I was just recording an episode earlier today with somebody who was talking about how few people where YouTube is their main traffic ever transition over to ads, because it's a different mindset. It's a different kind of
Yeah.
way of approaching things. And not many people manage to kind of bridge the gap with that. You are doing. When did you start working on ads?
So I started dabbling with ads, honestly, probably way back in like 2023, 2024.
Mhm.
And just, like here, $5 a day here, $5 a day here, kind of trying to figure it out and trying to see if I could dip my toes in. But I really went all in on ads earlier this year. I think I started in April, committing to spending like $50 a day on ads. And I
Mhm.
took a course from Maria Went, who I mentioned, and her course she was so convicted in the fact that, like, if you are willing to just accept the identity of being the type of business owner that runs ads now and don't stop, you will figure it out, right? Like, you'll be able to test it, you'll be able to figure it out. And that has really proven to be true for me. But it was terrifying because I was spending $50 a day at a time when I felt like, I don't like that's a lot of money. That was a lot of money, especially when
Yeah.
my other overall expenses were relatively low in comparison.
So what did you figure out? How did you how did you figure that out? What do you
Yeah.
run ads to? What's your front end?
So it took a lot of testing. I started with I'm like, I can get as detailed or as overview as you want, but I'll go a little more detailed and then you can
Yeah,
stop me
yeah,
if
no,
I'm
please.
too in
Yeah.
the weeds. I
Let's geek
started
out
with an
on it.
offer that was called 50 piano lessons for $50. And it
Mhm.
was a bundle of like some of the replays of live classes that I've taught, and each one had like a targeted lesson. And I started with that one. It was great. The ad spend was $50 a day. So I was always breaking even, and I was utilizing upsells and order bumps and things like that. But those ads were never super profitable. I was always breaking even, but I wasn't very profitable. And then I started getting some customer service issues of like, this isn't a course, this is replays of things, and inherently the value seemed lower because of that, especially for cold traffic who, didn't know me and wasn't aware of me. And so I decided to pull that and try running ads to a different course that I had. And what's wild is that my strategy here was I always copy what's working well organically. And I think that that is something that people don't realize with ads is like you can start throwing money at something you've never sold, but it's just going to take you more money to figure it out. And so I had a reel on Instagram that took off and went viral. And it was for a course called Read Music 10 Times Faster, where I break down how to recognize musical patterns. And so that reel went viral. And I was like, let me try just taking this reel and turning it into an ad. And I did. And all of a sudden, that funnel also converted much better. So, like 60% of the people added the order bump. And then, like 25% of people added at least one upsell. Yeah. And so it's like a
Whoa,
very profitable
Ashlee.
funnel. Yeah.
What?
Yes.
For anyone who
And
doesn't know,
so
that's the order bump number there, 60%, is right at the top end of what we'll normally see. Like I've
to
had
cold
higher,
traffic.
but
Yeah.
like very, very rarely, and not with cold. Yeah, not normally
Yeah.
cold. And 25% is actually above what you regularly see it. And so to have both of them, and you're saying people are taking more than one upsell, it's like that's fantastic.
Yes. And so because it had already worked organically, I took it and turned it into an ad. And what was fascinating is the cold traffic, like it still did very, very well. And so those conversion rates stayed the same. And it was a $97 course. And so on the sales page, it
Nice.
said it's actually a $297 course, but I had like promoted it for $97. And so I tried just running that to ads. There's no like deadline funnel, there's no timers, there's no coupon code. It's literally just it says $297 and it's crossed out and it says $97. And so it works really well. And because I was spending $50 a day, my profit all of a sudden was like 2 to 4 return on ad spend because one course sale was $97 and then people were adding the order bump and the upsell. And so that's when I was like, okay, I can scale. Like this I can scale because now I have some money to play with because it was so profitable.
Wow. And what
Um,
did you scale it to, or what have you scaled it to so far?
so what's worked well for scaling that one has actually just been more creatives. So I have like
Mhm.
20 creatives, right, that are all at $50 a day. I've been able to duplicate and double the budget on a couple of them, but really it's just been more creatives. And with that course, what works really well is interest-based targeting. Now, what's fascinating is with my other
Oh, okay.
which was a surprise because I started with lookalikes. That's what the course recommends is lookalikes usually do better. And then with my other course that I've recently started to put on ads and start to scale, what works better is lookalike audience, which is very fascinating because goes to show like that experimentation is necessary. And just because something works for one product, that doesn't necessarily mean it will work for another.
There's a friend of mine. I've asked him many times to come on the podcast. I don't think he ever has. I'm just searching through to see if I can find his name in the. No, his name's Matisse, and he's selling these parenting courses,
Mm,
and they do it solely with ads.
mm,
And he told me once, I forget the number. He told me though how many creatives they run, and then the number was breathtaking.
yeah.
It's like, how are you thinking? How are you coming up with that many to test? And he said for him, about 90% of them will be just like, whatever. 10% or 9%, I suppose, do well, are
Mhm.
good. And then 1% will just absolutely smoke it. And he's like, I still don't know which one it's going to be. We just have to do a lot of
Yes.
volume to get there.
Yeah. And it's fascinating because I think also, especially, I remember earlier on in my course creation journey, you're looking to people that have done it and you're taking what they say as kind of like the word of God. Like you're like, really following the directions, which I think is great because we all need mentors. And that's how I've gotten where I am is like following, the people that have done it. And I think we all have to keep in mind that you have to experiment a little bit. Like being a
Yeah.
business owner is experimentation. Like you're a little inventor and you have to put on your seeing eyeglass and like look at stuff and see what's working and copy yourself too. Like when you find something that's working, do more of that for
Uh,
yourself, whether or not a coach is telling you to. I think copying myself with what's working and also being open to experimenting is very helpful, especially when it comes to ads.
yeah, I've definitely struggled with that before. I'm just like, oh, but this person's the expert. I need
Yes,
to listen to them.
same.
This thing's working over here. Yeah, but it doesn't fit with what they've said. So you just keep doing it the way. And it's like, no, 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 no. If it works,
Yes,
do that. Even
yes,
if you don't understand why, even if nobody else understands why, even if it doesn't make any sense that it would work. If it works, do more of that. Figure it out,
exactly.
Okay, this is fascinating. So you've got how many different creatives running now? You say 20?
I think I have about 20 for the one, and then I've just started running ads to them. So I think I have like 4 or 5, and I'm really trying to scale that this month.
Are they all on 500? What was it? The number?
$50 a day.
$50 a day. Okay,
Yeah.
so what's that? 1,000-ish
Yeah. So I'm
dollars
spending
a day?
Well, actually, it with I think it's about 750 a day on the first course, and then my goal is to get the next one to that same number.
Okay, okay. And those are bringing in a good amount of profit at the front
Yeah,
end.
like I'm consistently getting 2 to 3 ROAS.
Wow, that's
Occasionally like 4,
fantastic.
but like, after the test of time, it's like 2 to 3 ROAS. And I'm a little bit more strict with my ads than other people recommend. I will turn them off if they go under 1.5 ROAS because I want my
Why?
ads to remain very profitable. And I'm willing
Why?
to do more testing of creative.
But
Well, just
but
because right
1.5 still
now,
means you're putting a
I
pound
know.
in, and you're getting more than a pound out of a dollar or whatever. And it's just like, what's wrong with that? Why are you turning them off?
I you know, honestly, I'm like, I just want them to be more profitable. If I'm gonna do the work to turn them on, I just wanna be making more money. And so I don't wanna be just breaking even. Like, I want them to be that profitable because then I have more to invest in more of what works, and more money to experiment with and all of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I disagree, but you're the one who's making 2 to 4x ROAS, so it's
Yeah.
like, it's hard to totally disagree with your
Yeah.
what's working for you. Okay, cool. Now, one of the things that you're doing, as I understand it, is you've got a high ticket program as well. Is that right?
I do, and it's like this is the year I'm phasing it out. So that program will
Okay.
end in June of 2026, which was like a terrifying choice to make because my high ticket program until
Ah,
this year was how I made all my money. It was my bread and butter. really. I had
Okay,
one course and one
let's
high
go
ticket
through
program.
that then. Let's unpick that one because most.
Yeah.
So how expensive was it?
So at the last time I sold it for the full price of like a full year of access, they got a year of access to live classes with me once a week and like a whole training vault and my curriculum and all of that, and it was $3,597.
Okay, so that is pretty high ticket. How were you selling it? Was it sales call, webinar, sales page? What was the
It
approach?
it was a little bit of a hybrid of a sales page and a and live and sales calls, but like the precursor to that was a 4-day live event, kind of in a challenge style format where I would get people to sign up for this live event. I would teach, we would get them huge breakthroughs. I would kind of introduce the method. And then at the end of those 4 days, they got an invitation to join the program via, of course, like emails. And then also they had an option to book a sales call if they felt like they needed that before they joined.
Okay. So when you introduced that and you started selling stuff for $3,597, were you absolutely delighted at the time? Because that's like a good amount of money you must have been getting
I
in.
worked my way up. Yeah, I actually started like in spring of 2022. I started like a $97 a month membership,
Okay.
and it was actually all of the same stuff, but a little less refined and less beautiful on the back end.
Yeah.
And as I got started with that, I was realizing. I was getting a few members each month, but I was like, if I want to transition myself out of teaching one-on-one lessons and trading my time for money, right, where I show up and I teach 1 hour and I get paid X amount for 1 hour, this isn't going to get me there as fast as I want. And right at that time, I hooked up with a coach who was all about high ticket. And she was like, what are you doing? My background, I have a master's degree in piano performance and I've competed and taught a lot. And she was like, you can absolutely be charging high ticket prices. Like, think about how much someone pays you for a private lesson. Just turn that into like this group format. And so I started at 2,000 and then raised the price to 2,500 and then 3,000 and 3,500. So it took a little while. Like I would raise the price like every 3 or 4 months. It took a little while to get there, but it was terrifying at first. I had never sold. I had to overcome like a lot of my own money mindset things and a lot of my own mindset work about being paid that much and feeling like it was worth it and not feeling like I had to hustle so much because I was charging that much. Yeah, it took a lot to wrap my brain around. But once I did, the sky was the limit.
When it was at 2,000, how much did you make that first time you did it at that price? Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. I got 2 people to join. I got 2 people to join when I opened enrollment, so I made $4,000. Yeah, and
Okay.
it was a big I was like, "Darn it," "Darn it, darn it." It was like I got 2 people to enroll, and then 3 months later, I got 3 people to enroll, and then 3 people to enroll, and then I think the next one was 20 people to enroll.
Oh,
So
what
it was a
changed?
big jump as I learned and as I got better at pitching and as I got better at feeling confident selling something that cost that much. It was a
Uh-huh.
huge jump once I got over all that.
Wow, that's a very big jump in one
Yeah.
go. It wasn't gradual. I mean, at least the results weren't gradual in kind of sense.
Yeah, it felt like it was gradual because I had launched it so like 3 times before it went to that 20
Yeah.
enrollment, but also the YouTube channel had grown a fair amount because I think in that time I also went from 5,000 subscribers to like 25,000 subscribers, and so my audience also grew a lot. And so that time when I launched 20, I also had closer to like 1,000 people that had signed up for the live experience, whereas before I was getting a couple hundred. So
Yeah.
all of the numbers jumped, so it made a lot of sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. Yeah, I think that high ticket is a really good idea for people in a couple of different situations in the course space. One is if you've got a smaller audience and you need the money in order to not have a day job, for
Yes.
example, then it's like you with a small audience, you can still sell $5,000, $10,000 programs
Yeah.
and then have enough money that you're like, oh, okay, well, this is going to get me through. So now I can focus full time on, my YouTube channel and whatever else. And yes, you've now got to deliver the training sessions for those high ticket people, but you're doing it in your own business in your own niche and you're able to use that stuff for other things in your business, whatever, instead of whatever your day job might have been before that.
Exactly. And that's what I used it for. I had been teaching like 20 hours of private lessons a week and transitioned out of that and showed up once a week to teach one live class
Right.
and
Way
was
more
making
efficient.
way more money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic. The other place I think I see in someone's kind of business journey that it really makes sense is they've already built up a big audience. They've maybe got a team. They've got money coming in every month from their low ticket courses. And it's like at that point, it gets to be a thing that you can put on top because you've now got the resources. You can hire someone. You've got someone else in your team maybe who can manage the process of you don't even do the coaching yourself at
Right.
that point. You get other
Right.
people doing it. And so if anyone listening is interested in either of those approaches, I did an episode with Jack from Banjo Skills. I'll find the episode number. And he took the approach of the episode 172. He took the approach of he had relatively low money coming in, a few thousand a month, something like that. And he did a high ticket offer to his customers. Like it's his existing customers who are already buying from him, already know him, did sales calls and sold stuff like $5,000 for, I think it was a year's access. And then he's kind of made it $5,000, but now for 6 months access or for every other week or something kind of like that with, with individual people. And then another one is, do you know who Scott Devine is? Runs Scott's Bass Lessons.
No.
It's like a big. I mean, I know that you're not in the bass space, but like
Yeah.
he's got like I don't know, 5 million subscribers on YouTube or something like that. I forget exactly. Quite big. Episode 117, and what he did, and I think he talks about this in that episode, is he was talking to the guy I mentioned before, Christopher Sutton, and Christopher had one of these high ticket programs. Was selling us a program for $10,000 for coaching on their existing stuff. So just taking people through one-on-one through their existing program.
Okay.
And Scott hears about this from Christopher on the phone. He immediately hangs up the phone. He goes and he wakes up his wife and he says, I'm going to launch a high ticket coaching program. And I don't know how it's going to work, but it's going to cost $10,000. And his wife's like, that's nice, dear. Can I go back to sleep now? And a month later, he launches it. And Scott is like, he's kind of a business genius, but he's very chaotic. Everything's kind of all over the place. So he's like, I don't know how we're doing this, but we're making it happen.
Right.
And they launched it a month later and they do, I think, like $1 million a year from it.
Wow.
And he doesn't coach it. He's not involved in it. Somebody else runs it. He doesn't do the selling of it, whatever. And it's like, oh my God, there's other times when it's like, no, you need to be head down on making courses, on building the YouTube channel. This isn't the right extra thing to do. But I think those two situations for definite, it's a really good fit.
Yeah.
Okay. So what made you decide to cut it? Is it the fact that it was your time each week and now you're making enough money from the ads and other things?
Yeah, essentially that. And actually the decision, what's funny is I feel like as a business owner, I've always had to kind of make the choice before I'm ready to make the choice. So I decided back in June of 2025 that would be the last time that I offered a year access to the program because I'm kind of tired. I love showing up, and showing up for those live classes truly does give me energy. I love my clients. They are incredible and they always make me smile, and it's like inspiring to see how hard they work. And I'm at this point where, I have a 6-year-old daughter. Life is getting busier. I love being creative. I love creating courses. I love creating content. And so I want to just be able to focus 100% on that and not like have to have something on my calendar each week that I have to show up for. And so I made the choice before the revenue made a lot of good sense, right? But for me, once I made that choice, it's like all of a sudden I had to make the revenue make sense in order to support that choice. And so that's kind of what's happened. And then I had to be like, okay, if this program is not my bread and butter anymore, how do I have to optimize? How do I have to get on point with the selling of the courses organically and kind of not quote unquote passively, right? Like, making it a little bit more automated so that can actually create the business I want, which is creating courses, creating content, and not showing up to teach live unless I decide to run like a 6-week program. And to your point, I think as my audience grows, I might eventually do something again where it's like a high ticket, 6-week program or something like that. But that'll be in a few years.
Yeah, and I think it's an interesting thing that there are multiple ways of doing high ticket offers. You could do, we're going to do a 2-day masterclass.
Exactly.
We're going to do a workshop on this particular topic. We're going to do something in person, if you fancy it. That might be the antithesis of most online course creators to actually turn up in person. But we had someone on a while ago who they do 2 retreats a year and charging thousands and thousands of dollars for people for it. So, okay. So we've kind of talked through the high ticket program, the way that you're running the ads. What are you doing in terms of your promoting your courses to your existing email list now? How often are you running promotions to them? How does that kind of work for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I pitch a lot more than I think a lot of people are comfortable with.
Uh-huh.
I email people. I send what I call like nurture soft pitch emails, which is
Mhm.
essentially like what I consider to be a nurture email, but there's always going to be a pitch in there somewhere. It's not going to be like a hard pitch, like here's this course, you should buy it, but it's going to be me telling a story of me overcoming something or of a student overcoming something. There's going to be a lesson in there, and then there's going to be some sort of like PS if you feel stuck here, this is the resource to help you. And so I do that 2 to 3 times a week regularly to my email list. And then I am usually doing one promotion a month. So whether that's like launching a new course or relaunching with a new bonus, like an old course or something like that. And then, I mean, my Instagram page is just direct pitches all the time. Like I
Oh,
don't
okay.
really do nurture content. I do direct pitching all the time. And it's actually served me very well on Instagram. So I know a lot of people have a lot of
Interesting.
opinions about that, but it works for me.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I'd love it if you could talk to, just imagine somebody in the audience who's listening to this podcast right now, and they do email promotions 3 times a year. They do Black
Mm,
Friday, and then whenever they're launching a new course, and then if they've got all their old courses, they never re-promote them apart from on Black Friday. That's the only time. So the rest of the year, there's like 9 months when they're not doing any promotion of any course. They're also probably not doing the soft pitches either. People just go to their website and
yeah.
buy. Could you talk to that person and try, if you're listening, please listen to Ashlee right now, because it breaks my heart. Listen to Ashlee and just like, what can you say to them to maybe get them to, why is it working for you? What can you say to them to get them to start doing monthly promotions?
Yes. Oh, I love this question. And if you're not watching the video, I'm like hands over my eyes because you're missing out on piles of cash. Like that, you're just missing out on so much easy money. And I don't mean that in like a shallow way. I consider my email list to be like one of the most special places of my business because these people have given me their email address. And, we all know, like if I'm getting emails from a company, I love that company. I do love that. And I'm willing to sit through all their promotions that I don't care about because I love them. And I know that eventually they will send me a promotion that I'm on board with. And so I think it's a special relationship with my email subscribers. And so I do cherish that. And I have a lot of respect for them. And because they know, like, and trust me, it's so easy to sell to them, right? It's like, it's so easy to make money. And I don't take that lightly and I don't do it in an unethical way. But what you have and what you are creating truly does solve a problem if you've done it correctly. And I think it's a disservice to not let people know that you can help them solve that problem. Why did you go to the trouble to get them on your email list if you're not going to tell them what you do and if you're not going to offer to help them? You know? And sorry, the objection that I hear often, because I used to do business coaching and I talk to a lot of business owner friends, is like, I feel, shady about sending these emails, or I feel spammy, like I'm sending all these emails. And I say, first of all, like, get over that. How can you send an email that you're really proud of? How can you send an email that's like, this is delivering value and I know it's going to brighten someone's day? And if I read this email, I'd be like, wow, thank you. And there's a pitch in it. And I think if you don't know how to do that, that is an area worth exploring and probably one of the most profitable things you could explore in your business.
I love that. I love that.
Okay, good.
I give talks about this sometimes, or make videos, whatever, and I'm just like, everybody thinks that there's just two options. It's either be spammy and salesy, or be a good person and pure and honest and send no emails promoting anything. And it's like, guys,
Exactly.
that's what in like if you walk down the high street and you go, what should we have for dinner? It's not like, is it Chinese or Indian? It's not
Yes.
like, is it French or Italian? There's 100 options. There's all these
Yes.
places you could go. Why on earth would you start believing there's only two things that you could do? Send
Yeah.
bad emails or send no emails. It's like,
Yeah.
send good emails.
Yeah. That's good. And one of the best ways that I got over this was engaging people. So I would always end my emails with like, did this resonate with you? Hit reply and let me know. Or have you ever experienced this? Reply and let me know. I would love to hear from you. And I get so many replies where people like heartfelt, like share their life stories with me. And then I do take the time sometimes to respond, and sometimes I can't get to all of them, but it's a dialogue. It's not always just me being like, buy this course, buy this course. I'm sending things that I would like to read. I'm sending things with the intention of brightening someone's day and also letting them know how I can help them. And that those shifts like really, really helped me.
What's next for you? You're doing, oh, no, actually, I want to go back a sec. How did you reach that approach, that attitude that you've got towards sending email promotions? Was there a time when you felt nervous about being spammy and salesy? And if
Yes.
so, what was your journey that took you through to where you are now?
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with overcoming my own limiting beliefs about making money and about talking about money. And I think that for me, starting with high ticket was a perfect thing for my journey because I just like dove right into the deep end there of charging people so much money that I really had to work on that mindset. But I think when it comes to sending emails and letting people know that you can help them, I think as a business owner, if you don't believe in your business and if you don't believe in your solution, who's going to? Right? Like I have to be so convicted and I have to create products that I know work so well that I will shout it from the rooftops all day that this course will help you. And if it won't, I will give you your money back, right? Because I truly believe in it that much. And I think if you feel that way about your product, remember that as you're writing the emails, right? And don't assume that you are making someone's day worse. Go into it with like, how can I spin this in a way where I feel good about it and where I think they're going to feel good about it too. And it's a practice, I think. It's a practice and a muscle that you have to work out a little bit and then it gets easier and easier and easier. But I think starting with that limiting belief switch of questioning yourself like, is this going to ruin someone's day? Is someone going to think I'm annoying? Or could I write it in a way where maybe they laugh or maybe they actually smile? And why would that be a problem then if I also let them know how I can help them? One of the comments I get often, not often, one of the comments I get occasionally is people will tell me that I'm spammy or people will tell me like you pitch too much. And it's often, older men that will email me and say what they think about the way that I pitch or the way that I sell or I'm too aggressive. And I just laugh because it's like, here in the United States, someone will think nothing about going to spend money at Walmart. And where is that money going versus supporting like a single mom course creator on YouTube. And it's just funny. Like people have their ideas about money, but that's not for me to figure out for them. I know what my beliefs are and I know that I'm not spammy and I believe in what I'm selling. And so I think first, believe that about yourself and then just practice.
What did you do when you had to work on those mindset issues? Maybe back when you started selling the high ticket program, what did you do to work on that? Was it talking to other people who were doing it? Was it like sitting down and journaling? Like, how did you go
Yeah.
through that process yourself?
Oh, that's a good question. So there were two books that were really helpful for me. And then also I'll give you one other thing that I did, which is kind of funny, but maybe it'll resonate with some of the people in your audience. So one of the books was, I never remember the name of the books, but it's Gay Hendricks. And it's the book that's all about, is it called The Big Leap? The one that's all about,
He does have a book called, is it gay? Is gay man or woman?
I don't
I know the
actually
book,
even
but
know.
I don't know.
Yes.
I realized I don't know.
But it's the book that talks about how there's basically like the limiting beliefs of that are going to prevent you from being successful. And it's like I'm going to lose my community. My family's going to think something other of me and they're going to abandon me. Like those types of beliefs. And that book was insanely helpful. I can get you the actual name if you want to put it in the show notes after this episode. And then another book was by Amanda Francis. And this book is a vibe. I always like give a little caveat when I recommend it. And it's called Rich as, I don't know how your podcast works, but it's the F word, rich as F word.
You can say that. Yeah,
Yeah, rich as
fine.
fuck.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And that
We are
her
pro
book.
swearing on this podcast.
Okay, great. Rich as fuck. And her book it's a manifestation book, so it's a little woo, but she has these journaling questions that like just get to the root of it. It's like, what were the first memories that you have about money? What was the first thing you remember someone ever telling you about money? What is your definition of wealth? What do you think quote unquote makes a rich person? And she really just makes you like go through and look at your money beliefs. And she says that money is a relationship, just like a relationship with a significant other or your child or a friendship. And if you don't ever work on that relationship, your subconscious is running the show. And so those two books were helpful. And then this one I feel a little self-conscious about sharing because I don't know your listeners, but I did a lot of money affirmations. Like I just did, honestly, I would take my daughter to school and I would turn on this podcast. I think it was called like Money Affirmations podcast. And he just had like hours of like, money is easy. Making money can be simple. Money is not a bad thing. Like just really rewriting those beliefs that I think we all unfortunately have because of the world that we live in, that can go unchecked if we don't actually look at them and actually question ourselves on them. So those were the things that were very effective for me.
What was it that allowed you to think, oh, I've got a block here. I'm going to go get these books and read. Is that the kind of, have you done a lot of self-development work before?
Yes.
Is that something that's come from, okay, you've done a lot
Decades
of,
of therapy.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, lots of self-development work and lots of just like, I think as a teacher, I like to teach by asking questions. And so I do ask myself a fair amount of questions about the beliefs that I have. I've had a lifetime where a lot of my life in childhood and in adult life didn't go according to the plan. And so questioning the stories that I tell myself about those events, questioning the beliefs that I made out of those circumstances, and just always being willing to question my own reality, I think has served me very well as a business owner. And my favorite question to ask friends and myself is that true? Right?
Mm.
And that works with the emails. Like if I send this email, people are going to think I'm icky. Is that true? Maybe a couple, but maybe 98% of them won't, and just always asking myself, is that actually true? Or is there a different thought I could choose? We can't choose the way we feel, but we can choose our thoughts, which absolutely influence our actions and the way that we feel.
Mm. Okay. So step 1, decades of therapy. Step 2, read The Big Leap, Amanda Francis's book. What was it called? Rich as
Rich as
Fuck or
fuck.
something? Rich
Yeah.
as Fuck. And then Money Affirmations podcast.
Yes, exactly.
Step 3, send email promotions every month.
Exactly.
Step 4, rich.
Yes, exactly. Have a great, successful business. Yeah.
Yeah, I like to say to people, it's like the selling course created businesses. Especially if you've already built the audience, you've already got the expertise, and you've already made the courses. It's not easy, and there's a lot of details to it, but it's reasonably straightforward. It is month 1. You need to first redo your customer avatar, set up your KPI tracking, that kind of fundamental stuff. But then you're going to write an email promotion, promoting one of your courses. You're going to build a great sales page with all 15 elements of a high-performing sales page. You're going to make a great checkout page. You're going to set up your order bump. You're going to set up your upsell, and you're going to send that out. And the next month, you're going to do the same thing again. And you just repeat till rich.
Yes.
And you just
exactly.
do it a bit better each time and just
Exactly.
keep doing it. And it's like, that's it. If you build the audience, you build the email list, you send the email promotions, you make the good courses, people like them. It's like, that's the business.
Yep. And I think a lot of people think there's like a magic formula, but that is the magic formula is
That's
so
it.
simple. The magic formula is don't stop. Don't be half in, like be all in and commit that you're not going to stop until you get there. And I really, truly believe, I used to listen to the Rachel Hollis podcast and she would always say this, but it's like anyone that's further ahead than you, they don't have a magic key. They just never stopped. They just never stopped and they did more of what worked. And I think if everybody can go all in and like not be like, I think I'm going to try, just do it, commit to it. Be like, I am all in until this works. You'll figure it out.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. What's next for you? You want to scale to 1 million next year, right?
Yes.
You're scaling the ads. Is the ads the main focus? Is it like, well, it's even with the YouTube? Like what's next for you? What's your plan?
That's a great question. I was actually just thinking about this morning because I always, in my business, I do go towards the most profitable thing. Not in a squirrely way where I'm always being distracted, but this is the very first time in my business where things have shifted and YouTube is not my main source of revenue anymore. It still is bringing me a lot of new clients, but ads are getting me like 20 to 30 new customers a day. And so I think the shift, I will probably continue to do both for at least to collect some more data for at least a little bit longer. And then likely I will absolutely be scaling ads more in 2026 because that is working. So that will be one of my main focuses. And YouTube might take the second seat, whereas this year it's been, YouTube was the first seat and ads were the second seat. I think that will slightly shift for 2026.
Nice.
But they're both working. So I'm going to keep doing more of that until the end of time.
Yeah. Till it stops working, just keep doing that thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wicked.
Yeah.
Ashlee, I love this. I love what you're doing in the business. I love your attitude. I love the result of decades of therapy.
Thank you.
If people want to go check you out and they want to see what you're doing on your YouTube channel and everything else, or just wherever online you want to point people to, where should people go?
Yeah, I'm Ashlee Young Music Studio on YouTube and Instagram. So if you want to get in touch and message me, Instagram would be a better place for that. But if you want to kind of see what I do and see how I teach, YouTube would be great for that. And then I have my website as well that we can link. It's ashleejyoung.com. And that's where I have, if people want to look at my courses and all the offerings that I've created, that is there. And you can read and learn a little more about me.
So it was Ashlee, Ashlee,
Hmm.
Ashlee Young Music Studio, and that was
Hmm.
on YouTube, that's on Facebook, that's on Instagram, and then ashleejyoung.com is the website.
Yes, and Ashley with two E's, exactly.
And if you want to go check out those podcast episodes that I mentioned before, the one with Scott Devine is 117. The one with Christopher Sutton is episode 14, and the one with Jack from Banjo Skills that I mentioned was 172. The books were The Big Leap, right?
I
From
think so. Let me just
Gay
Google it.
Hendricks. That certainly is a book from Gay Hendricks.
Yes,
Richard
yeah, the big
Clark
leap.
from Amanda Francis, and the podcast was like Money Affirmations, something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Wicked. Amazing. As always, thanks so much for listening. Ashlee, thanks again so much for coming on. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.